America is reeling after at least 3 deadly mass shootings have taken place in just the last 3 days. 2 students are dead and a staff member was critically injured after a gunman opened fire at this charter school for disadvantaged youths in Des Moines, Iowa. Cops say the shooter walked into the school with a 9mm handgun and an ended magazine yesterday afternoon. The shooter reportedly cut off a court-ordered ankle monitor just minutes before the attack. Police say this was a targeted attack and that the 2 victims and the shooter are involved in rival gangs. Police caught the shooter in a traffic stop after he had fled the scene. The 18-year-old suspect has been charged with murder and 2 others were also arrested. Then, an even more deadly shooting happened later in the day. At least 7 people were killed and 1 more is in critical condition after a gunman opened fire at 2 separate mushroom farms in Half Moon Bay, about 30 minutes from San Francisco, California. The suspect's arrest was all captured on video. Cops found him in an SUV in the parking lot of one of the farms. He apparently worked at one of the farms and it's possible he was a disgruntled employee. Police say he acted alone. Officials say the shootings took place near a school and that families with children were on the scene. The agricultural community in Half Moon Bay is described as close-knit, and families were on edge waiting to find out if their loved ones were safe.
We're just worried right now because he's not answering his calls or anything like that, and they're not letting anyone go in or out. They're also not telling us like who the deceased are.
Sadly, this is just another day in America. According to the Gun Violence Archive, there have now been more mass shootings in 2023 than there have been days.
I think something happened and you're trying to forget about it.
The morning of September 8th, 2017, 33-year-old Pensacola private investigator Taylor Wright went to the bank with her friend Ashley MacArthur. Earlier in the year, she gave Ashley $34,000 to hold onto for her while she was going through the process to divorce her husband. Hours after leaving her house, Taylor stopped responding to text messages from her girlfriend and family.
We're all just puzzled on what has happened to her. This is not normal behavior. Something bad has happened to her.
6 days later, her girlfriend, Cassandra Waller, filed a missing persons report with the Pensacola Police Department.
First name is Taylor, last name is Wright.
In her interview, she reveals that Taylor was having difficulty getting Ashley to return the money that was loaned to her.
Taylor's been trying to get the money out of Ash's safety deposit box. Taylor said for like 4 or 5 days.
Police determined the $34,000 could be a potential motive for murder and began shifting their investigation from just a missing person to a potential homicide. Investigators then brought in Taylor's friend Ashley for an interview, as she was the last person to have seen Taylor alive.
So let's start that day from the beginning.
She claims they stopped to buy Taylor a beer after visiting the bank around 10 in the morning.
I was like, beer at this time of the morning?
That was odd behavior.
However, when detectives video canvassed the route Ashley claims her and Taylor drove that morning, they found this security footage of Ashley in a gas station no near the bank alone. She tells the investigators that the pair then drove to her family's farm in Milton, Florida.
She was just blowing off steam, I guess, and drinking beer.
Then, she supposedly took Taylor back to her home, where she then allegedly went to a bar.
She was going to get an Uber to take her to go have a beer.
Investigators quickly used their resources to determine that this was another lie.
Well, we contacted Uber. Taylor's account hadn't been used in months.
Ashley was now the main suspect in Taylor's disappearance and possible murder, and investigators were doing everything in their power to locate either her body or evidence they could use to arrest Ashley. They issued 3 search warrants, one on her house, one on her family's farm, and one on her family's business, all to be executed simultaneously. At the same time as the raids, they brought Ashley in for another interview.
So before we ask you any questions, you must understand your rights.
They began with the cell data they pulled from cell towers that surfaces areas she claimed her and Taylor had been.
There were some discrepancies in what you had told us.
Using Ashley's cell phone data, investigators were able to track her location and find security footage of her depositing a check signed by Taylor into an ATM.
Have you ever had to sign her name to a check to deposit her name?
It says Taylor's name, but it doesn't really look like her signature.
Would you maybe wrote her name on there by chance?
Probably not.
The cell phone data also showed that the pair never went to Milton at all, but instead to a farm in Cantonment, where investigators were hoping a search team would find Taylor's remains. Hoping for a confession, the interrogators began being more direct with their questions.
What were y'all doing out there at this farm? We know y'all were there.
She had stored some kind of lockbox that she had.
Why would you not tell us that originally?
It's because
Sensing a break in her demeanor, the questionnaires again intensified.
I didn't do anything.
You say this, if she's at that farm, we're going to find her because we're executing a search warrant out there right now.
That's fine, but she's not going to be there.
Then where's she at?
I don't know where she
Where's
is.
her body at?
I don't know where she is.
She's dead. This is going to tell us what happened.
Ashley then invoked her right for an attorney, ending the interrogation without a confession.
It seems to me that y'all think that I did something to her.
A few hours after investigators released Ashley, the search team found Taylor's remains on the outskirts of her family's farm in Cantonment, wrapped in a hammock and buried beneath a mix of potting soil and instant concrete. They were able to immediately identify her by a necklace with a bullet casing pendant she was known to wear. The autopsy reported the cause of death as a gunshot wound to the back of the skull. Ashley was arrested and charged with first-degree premeditated murder with a firearm. She pled not guilty, but in court, it was revealed that after Taylor initially gave her the $34,000, she withdrew the money and spent it paying off credit cards and purchasing her extramarital lover a motorcycle.
Did she buy your motorcycle?
Yes, she did purchase a motorcycle.
Her boyfriend also mentioned that they spoke together about Taylor's disappearance.
She told me they'll never find that. She's gone.
Ultimately, the jury found her guilty and Ashley MacArthur was sentenced for the murder of Taylor Wright.
Ashley MacArthur, I'm going to sentence you to life with a mandatory minimum 25 years state prison.
She will serve out her life sentence at the Lowell Correction Institute in Ocala, Florida.
You mean to tell me this beautiful soul lost her life over $34,000? $34,000. I don't get it. Like, why would somebody do that over petty money? Take a beautiful soul, a beautiful life away from this earth, from people who love her because she was loved. You know what I'm saying? That y'all did this over She did this over $34,000. $34,000. The things people do, man. I mean, that ain't no money. $1 million ain't no money. $2 million ain't no money. Because think about it, when you get caught, how many people gonna miss this person or the person you robbing or doing dumb stuff from? How many people gonna miss you because you gonna be locked up? And then it's crazy how she shot her, put her in a tarp, cement. I mean, man.